All right, everyone. To quote somebody very wise, it's a trap! Link in the description, archived, of course. Gavin Newsom is doomed on the trans wokeism issue at this point. He has really, really stepped in it. Any presidential ambitions that he had, I think, are probably dead at this point, and Michigan certainly would be a potential loss for him if he were to run in the general election. Here's why. If you take that link, it's hilarious. Christians and Muslims in California have now joined forces in order to say why, men should not be in the women's locker room and things like that. The Islamic perspective is, of course, the more important of them. In Islam, assuming you're a religious Muslim, typically females of post-pubescent age, once they become women, they have to cover their hair. It's considered sinful to not do so. It has to do with an ancient tale, actually, of angels coming out of the sky and having sex with human women, leading to a race of demonic monsters, actually. Sort of similar to the tale of Greek mythology, where Zeus screws everything that moves, and then demons and titans and stuff like that are born. Or not the titans, but various monsters, which then Hera has to clean up after him with Hercules sometimes, and all sorts of stuff like that. It's very, very complex. So within Islam, you have to cover your hair in front of biological males. And Islam does not recognize a male who is, taking hormones as a female. It's more dichotomous within Islam. And there are plenty of Muslims in the state of California. At this point, we might as well call it the nation of California because they don't seem to be a fully functioning member of the United States anymore. We'll put it that way. So when a bunch of Islamic students are teaming up with a bunch of Christian students to say this shouldn't be happening, Gavin right now, he's sweating. I'm assuming that he's actually nervous about this because if it becomes a larger movement, it's going to become legally untenable for him, politically untenable for him. It's going to be indefensible. I mean, it already is for the average person, but he's gone, all the way towards the left on this particular issue. And the left casts it off as anti-discrimination. I would say simply, why don't you install a unisex locker room? It's an easy solution. Anyone can go in there. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. I'm sure that students will be using that as an opportunity to go screw their boyfriends and girlfriends on a regular basis behind their little curtain. They're going to do it anyway, out of school hours or in the bathroom, so it doesn't really matter. You've got this rising problem, and it's exactly the same one that I predicted would happen more than, I believe, now 10 years ago. Nobody legit has a problem with the idea of an adult transgendering themselves. Or for that matter, if a minor elects, they're like 16, 17 years old, they elect to inject themselves with hormones. I don't give a shit. I literally do not care about these things unless they're being coerced, which often they are, by a parent or a school psychiatrist or something like that. And schools have been shielding information about this from the parents, which is also completely unacceptable. It's taxpayer-funded edifices. It's supposed to serve the people that are paying the taxes that actually go to the school by by helping to teach their kids. And you're not really doing that. They're getting taught bullshit like 2 plus 2 equals 5 and stuff like that at this point. And biology classes probably now ignore gender entirely, not wanting to even broach the subject for various reasons, which should be all too obvious as of this story as well. Gavin Newsom's doomed, though. How can he straddle the line? He's got this large constituency which is slowly leaning towards, at least on the moral level, the right wing that he has to appease in order to hold the political economy together there in California and have any realistic chance of winning the presidency, which I don't think that he has anyway. I'm not particularly worried about little Gavin because he's probably going to overdose on methamphetamine before he gets a chance to run anyway, considering how he twitches around every time he talks, and he's like this. That's basically, I mean, that's a pretty good, rendition of Gavin Newsom's body language. Most times that he's talked to, he's also a hypocrite. He got the French Laundry incident, so he's got a lot of baggage. But this could become the biggest baggage of all, because imagine you're Gavin Newsom and you run for the presidency. So let's say he does have those ambitions, and I think that he does, and he runs. What are all of the Dearborn Muslims and Islamic people in Detroit, up in one of the most critical swing states in the entire country, what are they going to do? Well, Gavin, you forced young Muslim ladies to, cover up their hair because they weren't allowed to actually dry it off. They couldn't even use the locker room, maybe, because there were males in there, and it's against our religion. Well, you suck, Gavin. Okay, so he's lost Michigan. What about the Islamic minority that is within California itself? Let's say he pisses them off. I think there's about 1 million of them. That's going to go over real well in some of the. I know that you're trying to gerrymander the state to, prevent this sort of eventuality. I don't know that it's going to work, though. So Gavin's got the thankless job right now of having painted himself into a corner. It's just a matter of whether he wants to walk on one color paint or the other color paint at this point. He's still going to get it all over his fucking body. He's made his bed and now he has to lay in it. I thought it was funny. In a way, I suppose you could now call Gavin Newsom a unifier because he's got youth Christian groups and youth Islamic groups teaming up to oppose him on what is now a front burner issue within our society. It doesn't need to be one. It never had to be pressed as a significant issue like, 15 years ago on the internet or elsewhere. You would maybe chuckle at people who were, transgendered or transvestites or something like that and consider it odd. But there was no animus or anything like that. There wasn't any animus until the government and craptivistic groups got involved. It's the same way with gay people. The country had come around and healed on the issue and generally said, okay, well, gay marriage is okay. The fact that you happen to be homosexual is not some terrible crime. It's not a reason to shun you from society. And so, who cares, basically? We adopted a who cares mentality. But then a bunch of people who often themselves weren't even gay got a hold of it, tried to exploit it for money, tried to create some movement in order to siphon it off like a goddamn mosquito. And now you've got to the point where some random gay dude who's doing nothing wrong, he simply wants to cuddle with Cecil and watch show tunes or something like that, is being lumped in with pedophiles, is being lumped in with people who are supporting fucking communism. Yeah, that gay dude might own a machine gun for all you know. Might not be a commie at all. Might be a fucking military veteran who probably at the time had to be closeted, by the way, under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Society is not responsible. The people are not responsible for this animus that is being used to make huge amounts of money and to push authoritarianism. It's government and corporations, by the way, as well. Pride flag goes up on their English speaking page. It doesn't go up onto their Islamic speaking page. I've noticed that. Just saying. I mean, I've become a noticer. Poor Gavin, he just can't catch a break. Between his obvious drug use and drunkenness, and his hypocrisy, and the fact that California sucks in general. Sorry, Californians, just putting it out there. It's the land of fruits and nuts, and the fruit right now is suffering from crop failure, so you know what that leaves you with. Gavin Newsom's is doomed. With this particular issue, with the backlash against hyper wokeism, it's going to be a hard time, I think, for him politically. And he deserves it. So it's great. That's about all. Peace out.